Today you're going to learn why mosquitoes have no mercy on you, but respect your partner or friends. You will also discover how to defend yourself from what is the most lethal animal to humans and how this could save your life at some point. Of course, we will look at what options for natural and synthetic repellents exist and which one is the best for you. If mosquitoes have been a problem in your life so far, they will stop being one if you have enough patience to get to the end of the video. And if you are a professional or want to delve deeper into the topic, I recommend this recent review. Mosquito bites are annoying, causing an instant inflammatory reaction that severely irritates the skin, disrupts sleep, and itches intensely. While this matters, it's far from the most crucial thing. Mosquitoes are vectors of different diseases and very dangerous pathogens. You've probably heard of malaria, the Zika virus, the West Nile virus, or dengue. All these diseases are transmitted by parasites and viruses that are carried by arthropods, such as some species of mosquitoes. In fact, in this video, as I mentioned earlier, we're talking about the most dangerous and lethal animal to humans. In terms of the number of annual deaths caused, malaria alone caused over 400,000 deaths worldwide in 2019, most of them in children under 5 years old. The total annual deaths caused directly by mosquito bites exceeds 700,000 per year. Therefore, the use of effective and safe insect repellents is a public health issue of utmost importance, especially in areas of the globe where these types of diseases occur endemically. Wow, they can save your life. You've likely wondered, why do mosquitoes bite me? It's a question we've all pondered at some point. Do all the mosquitoes in the world bite me, and my partner, or my friend, or a relative, an acquaintance, none of them get bitten? What do I have that makes them bite me and the other person doesn't have, who almost always escapes the bite? Mosquitoes, particularly females, which are the ones that bite, are attracted by a variety of sensory signals that can vary from one individual to another. Among the most well-known, we have body odors. Mosquitoes are attracted to certain chemical components present in your sweat, including lactic acid, uric acid, or ammonia. People who sweat more, or who have a particular chemical profile in their sweat, may be more attractive to mosquitoes. In summer, increased mosquito populations and sweating make bites more likely. The skin microbiota. This is super interesting. The composition of bacteria and other microorganisms on your skin can also influence how much mosquitoes bite you. Some studies have suggested that certain microbial communities on the skin can produce smells that attract or repel mosquitoes. However, the skin microbiota profile that attracts them is not well defined. Some studies have found that alcohol consumption, and beer in particular, can make people more attractive to mosquitoes. If you plan on having beers with friends in the summer, it's best to apply insect repellent. Carbon dioxide. Mosquitoes are attracted to the carbon dioxide we exhale. People who emit larger amount of carbon dioxide, such as larger individuals or pregnant women, may be more attractive to mosquitoes. Also, body temperature. Mosquitoes are attracted to heat, so people with a higher body temperature may attract more mosquitoes. Remember that in women, in the second half of the cycle, body temperature rises up to 0.5 degrees Celsius due to progesterone. Your blood type. Mosquitoes may prefer certain types of blood. For example, some research indicates that individuals with type O blood may be bitten more often than those with blood group A or B. Clothing color. They may also be attracted to certain colors and patterns in clothing in the clothes you wear. Bright colors, for example, may attract mosquitoes more than dull colors. And now let's see what types of repellents exist. Insect repellents differ in synthetic or artificial and natural. And what is the main difference? Well, the first ones are more effective but with a worse safety profile, although they are still safe, and the second ones are less effective but safer. Although in general all are safe, at least those that have been tested for safety, let's look at the ones with the most evidence. Among the artificial ones, the main one is DETNN, diethyl M-toluamide. It is still considered the most effective and broad-spectrum insect repellent since the 50s. It was originally created by the United States Army and was marketed in 1956. Currently, there are over 200 products available with DET in concentrations ranging from 5% to 100%. And is protection with DET adequate, with a concentration ranging between 10% and 35% of the product? And if it continues to increase in concentration, the duration of the effect will be longer, up to reaching a plateau at about 50%. That is, it makes no sense to use concentrations higher than 50%. And skin necrosis and skin erythema have been detected with very high concentrations. The difference between applying a higher or lower concentration is not so much in the protection conferred, that is, in the effectiveness, but in the duration of that protection. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in fact, recommends the use of N-diethyl metatoluamide to prevent malaria, dengue, Zika, chikungunya, yellow fever, West Nile virus, and also importantly Lyme disease, as it is effective for tick prevention. How does N-diethyl metatoluamide work? Well, it alters the receptors in the mosquito's antennae, making it difficult for the arthropod to locate you. It also alters the mosquito's olfactory receptors, impairing their ability to smell and detect you, making them less attracted to your scent. The DET, very important, also does not kill the mosquito. Now, a question that surely worries you, but Dr. Borja Bandera, is it safe? Will it cause me any short, medium, or long-term health problems? The safety of DET has been carefully evaluated both in 1998 and subsequently in 2014. Look between 1956 and 2008, only 43 cases of DET toxicity have been reported. 25 of them presented neurological symptoms, lethargy, confusion, epileptic seizures, 17 presented allergic skin reactions, and 1 presented hypotension and bradycardia. And of the 6 known DET deaths, 3 of them were due to an intentional ingestion of the chemical, that is, something voluntary. Another involved a child with a rare enzymatic deficiency and 2 other children who were exposed to very high doses. That is a completely incorrect usage. Therefore, we can talk about a very safe substance, since it is massively used all over the world. However, the Environmental Protection Agency, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, considers N-diethyl metatoluamide safe even in pregnancy, and the Food and Drug Administration allows it in pregnant women in the 2nd and 3rd trimester. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, children over 2 years old should use a maximum N-diethyl metatoluamide concentration of 33%, that is, not exceed 33%. The recommendation advises against use for children under 2 years old and emphasizes taking significant precautions. N-diethyl metatoluamide degrades vinyl, it degrades plastics, it degrades leather, it degrades spandex, and it degrades other synthetic fabrics. Any well-known brand that contains N-diethyl metatoluamide, for example, Relic Spray, contains 50% N-diethyl metatoluamide and additional natural repellents, which we'll discuss later. So it's a very good option if you need strong protection. At the end of the video, I'll recommend the best repellent for your specific situation from the ones we covered today. Permethrin belongs to a group of molecules called pyrethrins are extracted from chrysanthemum flowers. Apply only to clothing, mosquito nets, fabrics, and other materials, not directly to the skin. Its strong point is that it has a wide range of action. It is effective not only against mosquitoes, but also against ticks, bedbugs, lice, fleas, flies, and it is especially useful for repelling ticks that transmit diseases such as Lyme. It works by inhibiting the enzyme acetylcholinesterase, which paralyzes the arthropod. Be cautious, as it can cause toxicity at high doses, particularly neurological symptoms like paresthesias, tremors, ataxia, and seizures. As an additional precaution, it is very toxic to cats and bees, so if you have a pet or a kitten, be careful with permethrin every 5 washes of the clothing in question. Permethrin needs to be reapplied, okay? We continue with another, the IR 3535. It's a synthetic compound derived from the amino acid alanine, which was approved by the Food and Drug Administration in 1999. It repels mosquitoes, ticks, flies, and lice. Unlike permethrin, it can be applied both to the skin and to clothing. It is colorless, odorless, and also biodegradable. You can find it in aerosols, lotions, sprays, and wipes in concentrations ranging from 7.5% to 19-20%. But it has the major drawback that its duration is a maximum of 2 hours, so it needs to be reapplied frequently. And it can also irritate the eyes and damage clothing and plastic, like what happened with N-diethyl metatoluamide. Picaridin, also known as icaridin, is the active ingredient in the insect repellent Autan. Picaridin is widely used in Europe. In fact, it's what we use the most around here. It is a chemical compound related to pepper that, along with N-diethyl metatoluamide, makes up the most widely used pair of repellents worldwide. It's a more pleasant repellent to use, it's not sticky, it's not greasy when applied, it's less irritating, odorless, and doesn't damage plastics or other materials. Unlike N-diethyl metatoluamide, let's say it's a more friendly repellent than N-diethyl metatoluamide. It works by creating a vapor barrier on the surface of your skin that deters mosquitoes from landing on your skin. It is found in concentrations of up to 20%, providing excellent, long-lasting protection for 8-10 hours. It is effective against Anopheles mosquitoes, which transmit malaria, Aedes mosquitoes, which transmit dengue, Zika and others, and Culex mosquitoes, which transmit West Nile fever, for example. Environmental Protection Agency toxicity studies show that it is a safe component. It also eliminates ticks, fleas, and bedbugs. Now consider inhaled electric repellents. Is it the repellent you've plugged into your room's outlet in the summer to avoid mosquitoes? I've used it a few times too. Are they effective? Yes, they are effective, although not completely, and less so outdoors. They are electric vaporizer repellents, and they release pralethrin, an insecticide used in vaporization to repel mosquitoes. It belongs to a family of chemicals called pyrethroids. But not all news is good news. Some studies indicate that when used chronically and at sufficient concentration, pralethrin could interfere with pulmonary surfactant. These are proteins found within your lung alveoli that prevent them from collapsing. During exhalation, by reducing the surface pressure on the alveolar wall, the surfactant also has antimicrobial properties that reduce the likelihood of respiratory infections. Therefore, it is a very important protein. As a general rule, natural repellents are the safest. They include essential oils or their bioactive compounds as the main ingredient. They are biodegradable, less aggressive for both you and the planet. Citronella oil, derived from Zimbopogon nardos, was initially used as a perfume in 19th century France despite its current reputation. It has bioactive compounds such as citronellal, citronellol, geraniol, which are the ones that exert this mosquito repellent action. Citronella oils are easy to find in supermarkets, especially during summer when demand is highest. The main weakness of citronella is that it is unstable when there is a lot of wind or when there are high temperatures. Moreover, it only lasts 2 hours after application, requiring frequent reapplication. Its strengths. Well, a very pleasant aroma, and it has no other side effects than allergic dermatitis occasionally or potential eye irritation. If we rub and have citronella on our hands, it is effective against malaria mosquitoes and arbovirus, but not against ticks, fleas, and lice. Its use is not recommended in endemic areas of the diseases I mentioned at the beginning of the video, as its potency is limited. However, it's the preferred repellent for many people to use daily and repel the bite of common mosquitoes. The lemon eucalyptus oil comes from the Corymbia citriodora. It has an active compound, which is the p-menthane 3,8-diol or P. Menthane 3,8-diol performs the repellent functions. Lemon eucalyptus has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for hundreds of years, but it was not adopted in the West until the late 20th century. Its effectiveness is similar to low concentrations of DET lasting 6-12 hours. It's quite effective and is used in concentrations ranging from 10-40%. It is also useful against vectors of Lyme or Rocky Mountain fever, that is, against ticks. However, it should not be used by children under 3. We have catnip or catnip oil, Nepeta, Cataria. It is an essential oil that contains nepetalactone, the most active ingredient. It provides up to 7 hours of safe protection. It is applied in lotions and sprays at concentrations between 7 and 15%. But there is so little scientific evidence about it that there is little more I can tell you about this oil. And then, the 2-on-decanone is a compound present in tomatoes that can also be synthesized industrially. It attacks mosquitoes' olfactory neurons, and there are very few products on the market with this component, although its effectiveness is compared to that of N,N-diethylmetatoluamide. Finally, neem oil. Neem oil is a natural product that is extracted from the seeds of the neem tree, also known as Azadirachta indica. Easy name. This tree is native to India and other parts of the Indian subcontinent, but is now found in many parts of the world. Neem oil can be effective as a repellent, as I say, but its effectiveness is limited and not much else is known about it. There isn't much evidence to support it. And as a curiosity, aside from what has already been explained, are there genetic methods for controlling disease vectors? For example, genetically engineering male mosquitoes to pass on unviable genes to offspring, or inducing infertility in females through the use of certain species of bacteria, such as the Wolbachia genus. Yeah, Borja, but which one do I use from everything you've told me? Well, look, it's very easy. If you visit an area where malaria or other diseases are endemic, avoid taking the risk and use an effective repellent, even if it's less pleasant or corrosive to some fabrics. A one-time use for a week or 2 while you're traveling won't cause you a health problem. What can be caused is an infectious disease caused by a mosquito bite. Many people, even those not living in endemic areas, develop significant inflammatory and allergic reactions to mosquito bites. They can get pretty ugly and can get infected, which is also concerning. In all these cases, I would use N-diethylmetatoluamide at a concentration not exceeding 30% with the precautions we have discussed. However, don't be as vengeful as Luke with the poor flying insects. They just want to feed on your rich blood. Jokes. Besides, if you're looking for a more natural protection of lesser potency, you live in a non-endemic area and what you want is to protect yourself from the common mosquito, then you can opt for a natural repellent like citronella oil. That concludes today's video. Comment below if you'd like to see the same video featuring ticks. I hope you've learned something. A big hug. See you next time. Keep on empowering.